greatest American alive. The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive.
Disingenuous Americans will have you believe that America is a competition, that you have to compete with your fellow man. This is a fallacy. Poor folk competing with poor folk. Please don't start that blasphemy, Project Daddy. Project Daddy, please don't start that blasphemy. Everyone knows that here in America, our religion is money. Even the pastor told me, you don't love the Lord if you don't drop a knot in the collection plate. Project Daddy in the motherfucking building. Hands up to the goddamn ceiling. The greatest American alive. You, not me. I'm just a piece of shit saying the things that you can't say. Over 60% of the American adult population does not have a college degree. Are you listening? Over 60% of the adult population in America does not have a college degree. But everyone in power, or the majority of folks in power, do have a college degree. And this is when I get upset when people are disingenuous. They're looking at their account and they know that they're $150,000 in student loan debt behind. But somehow, in some way, they will open up their mouth and tell the American people that the American dream is to have a college education. Indoctrination, motherfucking nation. Educated folk telling other folk that you have to be educated like me in order to succeed. Competition in the education system. This shit is a motherfucking fallacy. Our education system is structured just like the capitalist system. You see a person, an intellectual, will tell you it's different. Hell no, you're over there competing for fucking degrees and shit. Then after you get your degrees, now you're competing for spots. Now you're competing for book deals. It's like this whole intellectual marketplace, and they're all being disingenuous when every person knows that in society, the inherent value of the citizen is understood, which is why you invest with social programs in the person. This is why you send people to school. This is why you have Pell Grants to try to fund a person to go to college, because you know that one person is extremely valuable, but you won't tell them what their value is. Instead, you will indoctrinate them with the idea of education and competition. Competition. Poor people actually think they're competing with each other. True story. I know a man who took a pay cut for a quarter. I know a man who took a 50% pay cut for a quarter. Let me tell you, he was working for a company that had a union, but he was a rat and he didn't want to pay union dues. And so what he did, he went and tried to find his friends or other folks who didn't believe in unions either. He brought them to this company and they hired them because they were such good workers. They'd work through their lunch breaks. They'd work through their smoke breaks. They would just work. And these wonderful workers voted out the union. And after they voted out the union, their pay went from $24 an hour to $12 an hour. And for that wonderful employee who busted that union, his bosses came to him and rubbed him on the head and said, you were such a good little employee. We're going to give you $12.25. Now, this story was unreal to me because actually this was my friend. And when I looked at him square in his eyes and I asked him, why did you do that? And he said, because I have to know that I'm better than the next man. I have to know with certainty that I'm better than the next man. And I don't care if it's just by a quarter. The idea of compensation and competition is a fallacy for the poor working folk. You see, they divide and conquer. They treat you like they're predatory wolves and you're just a lamb. And they tell you, you can't talk. You can't talk to your fellow employee about how much money you make. There are companies with policies that say that you cannot talk about your compensation. And we're not talking about lots of money. I'm talking about Wendy's. I'm talking about Randall's. You go into these places and you can't say if you make $9 and a quarter. You can't say if you make $9.02. They have staggered pay with people who make under $10 an hour. There's staggered pay for people who make under $20 an hour. There's staggered pay for poor folk throughout America. And you say, well, you should get paid for the job in what you're doing. Nigga, we all flipping fucking burgers. We are all stocking shelves. This motherfucker gets an extra 2 cents because they moved an extra 1 box. Stop playing with the American person. You're playing in their face, and that shit is disingenuous, and it makes me so mad. It's a motherfucking fallacy. You understand? Do you understand? These intellectuals that are running our nation, these capitalists that are running our nation, they think that since you don't have as much as they have, then you're less than. And they're using you and pitting you against each other so they can continue to siphon off all your fucking money. There are mechanisms throughout human history that create, not human history, through capitalist history, there is a check and a balance on the capitalist system. A union is a check and a balance for a company. A union hires lawyers to come in on your behalf. Talk that shit, Project Daddy. Take these motherfuckers to church. A union hires lawyers to come in on your behalf and negotiate for you. They will tell fucking Amazon, you made goddamn $100,000 billion last year. Open up your books and let's see what the employees contributed to this. And now let's negotiate 60% of total revenue to the employee and 40% to you fucking cocksuckers at the top. Divide that shit up evenly, accordingly. However you want, nigga. If you want to do that shit on the competition scale, then you do that shit up there. But down here, every fucking employee in the warehouse is going to make $27.32. Are you listening, Amazon? That's where you're going to start it with Jeff Bezos. Listen here, Jeff Bezos. Our starting negotiation is $27.32. And nigga, I ain't asking. I'll shut this bitch down. The system will tell you exactly what you need to do. Listen here. I will never act like COVID is not real. Over 300,000 deaths. Of course it's fucking real. But when the government can tell you to sit down and be still and you can't do nothing and you can't motherfucking work to benefit them, then when it benefits you, you can tell the government, hey, motherfucker, I'm finna sit down and be still until that goddamn hourly wage is $27.32. Nigga, I ain't asking for no motherfucking $15 coming from the richest company in the motherfucking world. What are you talking about? Come here, Apple. You're on deck too, motherfucker. I want full transparency. Open up these goddamn books and the American person with some fucking patriotic lawyers can bust your big business. You hear me? What am I talking about? Empowering the greatest American alive. You are the greatest American alive. And you don't have to get caught up in this motherfucking rat race. Goddamn rich people treating American citizens like greyhounds. And I would say horses, but horses have jockeys. They got us out here chasing an invisible rabbit. Well, I can see that bitch, but it ain't real. Chasing a motherfucker dangling a carrot in front of the American person and say, run, nigga, run. And we ain't getting nowhere except for 2 cents, 10 cents, or a quarter more than our fellow man. But the exact same story when I said the man busted the union to get a quarter. American citizens, you can bust the company and go from making $12 to $24 because you're not going to take it. General strike coming. Listen here. General strike coming. I saw a congressperson who actually posted general strike, but I guarantee she won't go on the streets with that shit. Lead the motherfucking revolution if you don't want to lead the motherfucking revolution if you actually believe in the person. Stop playing with me. We need some we need some real patriots. We need some politicians to uphold the patriotic duty to the American citizen. Stop trying to turn us poor folk against poor folk. You hear me? It's a goddamn class war. And them niggas live in a whole different stratosphere. Congress people make $174,000 a year. Are you hearing me? $174,000 a year. There's no way they can relate to Project Daddy. There's no way they can relate to a stock person at Walmart. There's no way they can There's no way they can relate to a fry cook at McDonald's. There's no way they can relate to a garbage collector. There's no way they can relate to a teacher or a steel worker. Motherfucker, you are the greatest American alive, and these sons of bitches cannot relate to you. To you. Until you tell them, I'm here, and make your presence felt. Man, I've seen so much amazing shit in 2020. People hit the motherfucking streets and demanded justice. But you have to ask, not justice socially, but justice in your fucking pocket. You hear me? Compensation, nigga. Stop having me compete for quarters, nigga, when y'all over there counting billions of dollars. Stop telling me that I don't qualify because I don't have the degree that you have. Behave yourself. 60% of the American adult population does not have a college degree. Are you trying to say that we're all unqualified? That we all have to start from motherfucking scratch because you say so? Fuck you. The greatest American alive. You are the greatest American alive. And yes, we can make America great immediately because you fucking deserve it.
The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive.